Many of you said, David, you will not cover the UFO hearings in Congress because you're afraid. What would I be afraid of? This is so stupid. Of course I'm going to cover it. It's very interesting. There were hearings held by the House of Representatives yesterday on UFOs/UAPs. UFOs are unidentified flying objects. It's an object that flies, which has not been identified. Doesn't mean it's intelligent aliens. UAPs are unidentified aerial phenomena. Again, it's aerial in the air. It's a phenomena. It's a thing. Doesn't mean it's intelligent aliens who have come to visit us. As many of you know, on the one hand, I am extremely skeptical of claims from people like those who we are about to hear from, who make claims about the U.S. is covering up that we have alien bodies and all of these different things. I'm very skeptical of that for a number of different reasons that I will enumerate. On the other hand, I also think mathematically, based on the size of the universe and our very rudimentary understandings of the prevalence of different types of life, the conditions on which life as we know it could exist, and the possibility that life as we don't know it could also exist under different conditions, I do think it is more likely than not that there is life elsewhere in the universe. How intelligent it is, how closely it resembles us is a very different question. So simultaneously, I'm skeptical of many of these specific claims because they lack evidence and rigor, and often there is no evidence at all. But I do believe it is more likely than not that there is life out there somewhere. Given all of this, we will now look at some clips from yesterday's hearings. One funny thing, we'll talk on the bonus show about the Hunter Biden plea deal. Yesterday, you could find people making the claim on X, they were zeeting on the former Twitter, that the UFO hearings were designed to take attention away from the Hunter Biden plea deal going wrong. And then there were those claiming the Hunter Biden court date was set to take attention away from the claims made at the UFO hearings. I think it's just coincidence. Call me crazy. All right, here's the first clip. Former U.S. intelligence official David Grush claims the government is in possession of non-human bodies, meaning the bodies of foreign to the planet life forms.
Intelligent extraterrestrials.
Something I can't discuss in public setting.
Okay, I can't ask when you think this occurred. If you believe we have crashed craft, stated earlier, do we have the bodies of the pilots who piloted this craft?
As I've stated publicly already in my News Nation interview, biologics came with some of these recoveries, yeah.
Were they, I guess, human or non-human biologics?
Non-human, and that was the assessment of people with direct knowledge on the program I talked to that are currently still on the program.
And was this documentary evidence, this video, photos, eyewitness? Like, how would that be determined?
The specific documentation I would have to talk to you in a skiff about.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay. So, and you may or may not be able to answer my last question, and maybe we get into a skiff at the next hearing that we have, but who in the government, either what agency, sub-agency, what contractors, who should be called into the next hearing about UAPs, either in a public setting or even in a private setting? And you probably can't name names, but what agencies or organizations, contractors, et cetera, do we need to call in to get these questions answered, whether it's about funding, what programs are happening, and what's out there?
I can give you a specific cooperative and hostile witness list of specific individuals that were in those.
And how soon can we get that list?
I'm happy to provide that to you after the hearing.
These are, of course, extraordinarily stunning claims. And on the one hand, this guy seems so extraordinarily confident in them. On the other hand, it's important to know he's not actually presenting any evidence. On the other hand, people wrote to me and said, how could he? It's all classified. So we end up in this kind of conundrum. It is also important to mention that this guy has said a lot of things that are pretty out there. David Grush has said that the vehicles the Pentagon is hiding could have come from a different physical dimension than what is described by quantum mechanics. He has said the Vatican has been in on a UFO cover-up. He says that some of these craft are football field sized, that a private contractor is currently storing a UFO, that UFOs have gotten aggressive at times, that people have been killed in order to keep the secret, Now, I am open to considering every single one of these claims, but some evidence has to be presented, and I'll talk later about what that evidence might look like. Congressman Jamie Raskin asked former Navy pilot Ryan Graves, another one of the witnesses, about another alleged encounter. Take a listen to this.
The two aircraft flew within about 50 feet of the object, and that was a very close visual sighting.
And you were in one of the aircraft?
I was not. I was there when the pilot landed. He canceled the mission after, and I was there. He was in the ready room with all his gear on, with his mouth open. And I asked him what the problem was, and he said he almost hit one of those darn things.
He said he was 50 feet away from it?
Yes, sir.
And his description of the object was consistent with the description you gave us before?
A dark gray or a black cube inside of a clear sphere.
A dark gray or black cube inside of a sphere. I mean, listen, Jamie Raskin's asking sort of like the right questions. But again, there's a question of what do we believe counts as evidence? Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez asking, if you were me as a member of Congress, where would you look for the truth, for the answers?
If you were me, where would you look? Titles, programs, departments, regions, if you could just name anything. And I put that as an open question to the three of you.
I'd be happy to give you that in a closed environment. I can tell you specifically.
Thank you. Commander Fravor?
And I would say, and I've told people that you have to know where to look. They're not going to divulge it to you because of the classification levels. But if you know where to look and who to talk to, which is exactly what Mr. Grush can point you, then you have them.
So is anybody going to do that? Are we ever going to learn more about this? Here is Congressman Tim Burchett saying, has anyone been murdered to cover up the extraterrestrial technology?
Do you have any personal knowledge of people who have been harmed or injured in efforts to cover up or conceal these extraterrestrial technology?
Yes. Personally.
Have anyone been murdered that you would think, that you know of or have heard of, I guess?
I have to be careful asking that question. I directed people with that knowledge to the appropriate authorities.
So a lot of I've been told that someone else said sort of things. And that's really the bulk of a lot of this stuff. Congressman Robert Garcia asking about possession of UAPs. Here's what David Grush had to say.
Mr. Grush, finally, do you believe that our government is in possession of UAPs?
Absolutely, based on interviewing over 40 witnesses over 4 years.
And where?
I know the exact locations, and those locations were provided to the Inspector General and some of which to the intelligence committees. I actually had the people with the firsthand knowledge provide a protected disclosure to the Inspector General.
So again, and I am really trying to analyze all of this unemotionally. David Grush is not saying he personally has seen any of this stuff. He's saying, I've interviewed people who have told me. And those were not assertions he was actually able to verify. So here's the real reason for my general skepticism about these sorts of stories. They supposedly keep coming here and they keep crashing and they get aggressive, but almost no one sees them. For whatever reason, they're not improving their technology. They can get across the galaxy from far enough that we've never detected them to our knowledge. They get here essentially undetected, and somehow on the last mile of the trip, the last fingernail of a wingspan of the trip, they crash. And they just can't seem to improve their technology to stop crashing. It's like they are the epitome of geniuses and stupid at the same time. And that seems difficult to believe. Now, when we say, what would the evidence be that it would take to convince a skeptic? It's a sort of standard list, right? Multiple credible eyewitness testimonies that can be corroborated in some way. Well, the reason you can't do the corroboration, David, is because the government is involved in a cover-up and they're hiding it and people have been killed. Well, you've either got to provide some proof of the first thing or some proof of the cover-up. We need something. What about high quality verifiable visual evidence rather than videos that are sort of weird, extremely grainy, the photographs are blurry, many of them are similar to things that have later been confirmed to be hoaxes. We don't know that every video that they are now claiming to have is a hoax, but they are similar to videos that have ended up being hoaxes. What about radar data and sensor readings? Because if there were radar data or sensor readings from reputable sources that said, hey, you know what? The stories being told by these individuals match these data that we have, that would bolster the case. Obviously, the ability to look at physical evidence, unusual metal alloys that reliable scientists can say this is not of this earth, for example, or physical markings somewhere that are not like the crop circles, which have been debunked as a prank. These are the sorts of things that we would look for. As is often the case with conspiracy theorists, the fact that we don't have that is cited as part of the evidence of the conspiracy. And at some point, and particularly for such extraordinary claims, I don't believe that that is enough. So again, on a mathematical, large-scale odds level, I think it's quite probable, if not even likely, that there is life out there somewhere. Do I believe that these individuals actually are the smoking gun? At this point, I am not convinced, and I feel as though I've given you the list of what it would take to convince me. Let me know what you think. Make sure you're subscribed on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button. Leave a comment. We'll review. Staying properly nourished is just so important to feeling your best every day. Our sponsor, AG1, makes it so simple. Just a single scoop of AG1 a day. You get 75 high-quality vitamins and probiotics from whole food sources. You're covered for the day. Half of Americans are deficient in vitamins A and C and magnesium. Not everybody has time to perfectly plan every meal. And I don't know that any of us want to be spending a whole bunch of money on endless different vitamins and supplements. AG1 just simplifies it and it's more cost effective. I take a single scoop of AG1 in the morning before my coffee. Tastes great with water, but you can mix it, quite frankly, into anything you want. With that one scoop, I'm covered for the day, getting everything I want. It's easy and it's a simple routine that works. Go to drinkag1.com/Pacman to get 5 free travel packs of AG1 plus a free 1-year supply of vitamin D. The link is down below.